So today I'm going to be showing you what I'm going to do to try and keep my worms in this flow through bin. I've realised only recently, months after setting it up, that I'm actually losing a few worms. I've got a few that climb out the top sometimes, and I seem to still be losing them, even though I've built it up near to the top. I'm losing a few out the bottom, and this seems to be a daily occurrence. I hadn't really bothered monitoring it, and then I've noticed a few that have come out with some of the vermicompost underneath. So I've actually started monitoring and counting, and I'm losing up to about 3 dozen a day just out the bottom. I mean, the top I wouldn't know because I assume they'll just fall out the side. So what I've decided to do, and I've seen other people do it, even in indoor beds and things like that, is to have lights above and below the beds, because obviously worms are very sensitive to light. And if you have lights, it will hold them in the bed. Now, it does seem a little bit of a cop-out, because I kind of think that if the bed was absolutely perfect conditions for the worms, that they shouldn't want to leave. But then I have also read, I've read so much on worms, because I've really got into it this last couple of years, that atmospheric pressure, weather conditions and all sorts of things can make worms want to sort of move and migrate. So it could be any number of things. I'm still a novice, I'm no expert, so I don't really know 100% what is wrong. I do fairly regularly check the pH of the bin, and that's fine. And what I'm feeding them is leaf mould and homemade compost, pre-composted stuff, so all the feed stuff should be fine. So I'm not 100% what it is, but what I've done is I've ordered some stuff to add. Obviously I've got my solar power just behind the camera here, which I've upgraded to 2 batteries with a 100-watt panel, so plenty of stored power. I've ordered some stuff to put some 12-volt lighting in to suspend over both bags and underneath, so I'm just going to create a little 12-volt system that I can just leave on 24 hours a day, maybe get a timer, but then timers and things can go wrong. It might just be easier to just leave it on 24 hours a day and just forget about it. So that's what I'm going to be doing. The stuff should be coming tomorrow, and I'll sort of show you what I'm doing and how I get it all set up. So all my stuff came later on yesterday for the lighting over the worm beds. So basically this is just 12-volt cable, and then I've bought these little clip-on connectors, and basically what they do is you just separate the wire. So I'm putting another one in here. You separate the wire. What I do is just get a little tiny screwdriver and just push it between the wires and pull it along, and it just separates them. And then you open this up, and what I'm doing is I'm putting the positive wire in the top groove, negative in the bottom groove, just so I know where I am and that they're all the same. It's a little bit fiddly because everything's so small, so I don't know if you'll see that. Just put the wires in the groove, and then when you shut it and pinch it up with the pliers, it just clicks in, and that seals it, and it pushes the wires into like a V of metal, and it cuts through the flex and makes the connection, and that is now secure and watertight. Now, the one thing I did notice that I did realise, 2 of these connected, 1 didn't, because the wires that come on these individual LEDs that I ordered are way thinner. I thought they were going to be the same size, but they're not. So what I've had to do with the ones that didn't, they are quite thin, so literally I'll just pull off. You can do it with your teeth. Pull off a bit of the flex and just wrap the wire back down the flex, just a couple of mil. Just have to be careful not to bite right through the wire because it is so thin. So basically just round I don't know if you'll make that out, just wound a little bit of the wire, just a mil or 2 down the flex, and then the top groove connects down to the left, negative to the right. So again, it should cut into the flex, but like I say, it's too thin, so I'm just putting the wires in there with the already wound wire down the flex just to make the connection, and that'll click into place again, and then that is now connected and sealed. So I've done 3 lights over this bin. I'll string them across maybe on a bit of wood or something, and I'm going to do 3 over the bag here. So I'm just going to turn this on and see if this one connected. So let's just have a look. So it's a bit of a fiddle, but yeah, there you go. So that has been working. So like I say, a couple of them did connect as soon as I clicked it in. One didn't. So I'm just taking that precaution of just winding a little bit of the flex down. These don't look particularly bright in the daylight, but at night I'm sure 3 of those would probably be plenty over the top. Obviously the wires are a bit bent, so I may have to put them on a bit of timber or something. I'll think about that later on, but this is the idea. 3 over here, 3 over there, 3 or 4 at the bottom underneath, and it would just help to hold the worms in the bed at night because they don't like the light, and I'm hoping this will work. The whole thing, 20 meters of this 12 volt cable was I think $7.99. 12 of these fittings were about £6, 50p each, and so that's a bag of 12, and then I got 30 of these little lights. So obviously I can add more lights, just clip them in line as I need them. 30 of those, I think that was about £5 or £6 as well. They're, you know, pretty cheap. It was about, I think the whole thing, because I've ordered a plug-in switch as well for the solar power, I think the whole lot was just under £30. So hopefully it's going to be worth the investment, and we'll keep the worms where I want them to be. So the lighting's now all done. What I did to keep it nice and tidy and to make sure there's nothing in my way when I'm tipping stuff in, working with the worms, is I got some 3x1, and I've just screwed a piece of that to the rafters and tacked the cables on top of it out of the way, just using a staple gun, just tacked them into place, and then just drilled holes through 3 above this bed so that the LEDs are pointing perfectly down, and 3 above the builder's bag there. They're 3 foot 5 inches I think above the bed, and at that sort of height they're giving quite a nice spot of intense white light. So I'm hoping that the 3 above will be enough. Now should I need to widen that sort of beam, then what I'll do is I'll get another piece of timber and I'll just screw it to that, just fit across to that, and I can put 1 or 2 LEDs each side just to widen it over the beds, and I can do that over both of them should I need to. Now for underneath this bed, all I did, the end of the cable just runs down. I've got a couple of meters of slack, and I just did the same sort of thing, just 3 LEDs on an old tree stake so that I can just lay it across my tray, which catches my vermicompost when I rake it out at the bottom. So all that does, if this was a tray, I'll just sit that on the tray shining up on the bottom of the worm bed, and then when I want to rake it out, I'll just move it out of the way, and I can just put it back when I'm done. So that sits obviously down underneath the worm bed, shining up on the bottom. Just got it up here to show you, and so I'm hoping that will give me enough light top and bottom to keep the worms where I want them to be. But what I'll do is I'll come, because they don't look very bright now because it's daylight, I'll come back later on tonight when it's pitch black and show you how bright they are. I'm hoping it'll be enough to keep them where I want them to be. So it's 9:30 p.m. I've just come down to have a look how bright the lights are. At this sort of distance from the top of the beds, they're providing a nice perfect beam, fully sort of covering the top of the bed, so that should be enough to keep the worms in, and the ones underneath are really bright too. So yeah, I'm all happy with the setup really. I think it's going to do what I want it to do. So as you saw, the lights are really bright at night, and I'm hoping that is going to do the job. I've cleaned the tray out underneath, brushed it all out, so there's no vermicompost in there, no worms in there, and I'm going to monitor it for the next few days, see if anything comes out, see if I need to increase the lighting at all. Obviously, should I need to increase the lighting from above or below, then I can just, this is a bit thick, I'll use the same timber as this, which is 3x1, but I can just screw on a little cross like that and just put an extra light or 2 each side just to widen the beam, and I can do the same over the bag here, and I can do the same underneath should I need to. So these LEDs, I think they're 5 watt from what I remember, 5 watt LEDs, and there's 9 of them. but the ampage must be really low because they're not even registering on my solar readout. It tells you the current when you turn it on of anything that is drawing off it, as well as the input current from the panel and the battery voltage. But the ampage must be so low on them because all 9 bulbs are on, and it's just 0.0 amp current output, so it's not making any difference. They've been on a couple of days now, and hasn't made any difference to the battery whatsoever, even on dull wintry days like we're having. So hopefully this will do the job, and obviously, you know, it's not very expensive. Should I want to expand my worms in this building, I can just clip with those clip fittings, extra wires, extra lights, and just expand it as much as I need to. So should this do the job, you know, I now know I can use that going forward. But anyway guys, hope the video is interesting. Hope you found it helpful. If you're liking any of these videos at all, please like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Take it easy guys.